Hello future Brant owners, I am too deep into preliminary Brant theory crafting / team building and spent way too much time in the trial fight, so I figure I'd share my findings with some tips and tricks on how to play Brant, while pushing the woo-wah husbando agenda and fight Brant slander. This is the first time I make any sort of a guide, so bear with me. First, let's get the basics out of the way. Brant has a 100 Bravo Forte bar represented by 40 pips split into 4 segments, 10 pips each segment, 2.5 Bravo per pip, as shown in the video. E is 3 pips, BA1 is 4 pips, BA2 is 4 pips, BA3 is 5 pips and BA4 is 4 pips. Completing this sequence will grant exactly half your Forte bar, or a full Forte bar under the Liberation buff. Because most of these attacks generate about the same Bravo, notably BA1 and 2 both generate the same 10 Bravo, you can split them up however you want. As long as you achieve 5 mid-air basic attack hits, you can fill up your Forte under the Liberation buff. Some people think Brant's air basic attack chain resetting on swap out is a negative, but really the difference is pretty negligible. BA1 plus 2 is about 480% mod, while BA3 plus 4 is about a 510%, there is barely any difference in damage, and BA1 and 2 fits easily in a quickswap window of 1 second. The only real advantage of being able to finish your entire basic attack chain is that at the end of BA4, Brant lands on the ground for perhaps easier rotation. Another bit of a misconception is that he is going to be very hard to play. While his skill ceiling might be high, at a base level even on quickswap teams, Brant isn't particularly complicated to play. After he swaps out of his Liberation plus basic attack 1, you only need to find 2 more swap spots to get 4 more basic attacks in and you have your full Forte. While that might sound daunting for some, but hear me out, even if you have trouble maintaining his airborne status like what I showcased in the video, remember that skill plus BA1 also gives you 35 Bravo. His intro also grants him 25 Bravo. You can mix and match any of the lines on screen and you may not even have to maintain his airborne status at all. He is actually quite mild when it comes to quickswap complexity thanks to the Bravo buff from his Liberation. Do you know who else only needs 2 swaps to fulfill their rotation? Our world's favorite princess, Carlotta. After her initial swap out of her skill, she also looks for 2 swap windows, one for her heavy or plunge attack to get 3 moldable crystal, and a second to use her skill again to get her Forte before intro into her burst. Even on quickswap, Carlotta is considered to be one of the easiest unit to play. Brant can have a similar approach. Now you might ask, I try to play like a sweaty nerd and keep my Brant in the air, but I can't help but constantly plunge. This is undoubtedly his biggest issue if you want to move into a more stylish play style with Brant. Fortunately, this is not without a solution for the souls willing. What we have to do is establish a swap back situation as an anchor unit, pun intended, to keep the team on the ground while Brant perform his circus acts. My fellow QS enthusiasts will already know what they are looking at. A swap back is when a character's animation extend beyond the 1 second swap cooldown, so they remain on field by the time you want to swap back into them. They will remain on the ground rather than perform a plunge attack from Brant's current position. I used Phoebe's BA123 as the swap back for Brant's skill plus basic attack 1, then did another set of BA123 to act as the anchor for Brant's next set of basic attack 1 plus 2, then because I wanted to use Phoebe's skill, and her skill doesn't have any swap back potential, I switched to Rover, who does have a swap back window between her skill and her Forte resonating spin for the last set of Brant's BA1 plus 2. Admittedly, these are some of the hardest sequences to perform even for a player familiar with quickswap. Even seasoned players sometimes require a lot of practice. Swap back windows also vary in length quite dramatically. Some barely make the 1 second cooldown time, and others, in most extreme cases, like Encore's resonance skill, has like 2.5 second window allowing swap back between her first and second skill use. There is honestly an exuberant amount of possible quickswap opportunities on majority of the cast if you are willing to try. I will name a few in relations to Brant's possible teammates. Pretend Jinshi is Brant in the upcoming clips. As a potential teammate for Brant, Carlotta also has swap back opportunities, and she is also one of the units who can take advantage of a plunge attack. Unlike most, the backflip she does after her plunge grants her 3 moldable crystals and can be swapped back into. Her skill can also be cancelled in mid-air into Brant if your Brant is grounded, making her a great teammate for Brant not just for his skill damage outro, but her moveset can also take advantage of Brant's moveset to an extent. Next up is Shorekeeper. She is an extremely versatile quick-swap character. Her BA-123 has a swap-back window before BA-4 followed by heavy attack to dump her forte immediately, or you can utilize her mid-air attack. Transmutation also spends her forte. As she lands you can use her skill which creates another swap-back window before continuing with her basic attack chain. And lastly, let's now forget our air combatants Jin Shi and Changli. They are probably 2 of his best teammates. Both of them are capable of dance in mid-air alongside Brant. For the first time since release there is a reason to finish Changli's mid-air basic attack chain, which has its own swap-back window. As you can see in the clip, the sky is the limit with these 2. Other notable character like Rosia's Mamma Mia, Xiangliao also has mid-air portions in his moveset, and Qixia whose resonance skill with 2 charges has a long enough sliding animation to serve as 2 swap-back windows. Next is an interesting tech I ran across accidentally while I endless retry the trial stage testing Brant. Take a look and see if you can spot the strange happening. Did you see it? Brant's basic attack chain didn't reset, and I was able to perform BA-3 and 4 after BA-1 and 2. After extensive testing and reviewing, I have discovered that whether Brant's basic attack resetting or not is based on his animations. Notice Brant's position. This is after his attack finished, and he does a backflip after firing a shot. Notice the cooldown left on the swap. There is still 0.2 seconds left and he has already finished his attack. Next I believe happened because the enemy took a short dash backward, increased Brant's travel distance, thus delaying his attack animation. Look where Brant is right now, have yet to finish his attack animation, and the cooldown on the swap has already ended. Then I swapped back to Brant, and he continued with BA-3 instead resetting back to BA-1. I went to test my theory, stopping time on screen with intro and outro skills. If you didn't know, some time stop effects in this game stops the actions on screen, but your cooldown still ticks away, making it possible to bypass some swap limitations with intros/outros. In this case I tested deliberately delaying my swap back to Brant. In those attempts it failed and the basic attack chain reset, and when I swapped back immediately, back into Brant when he was still in the middle of his slashing animation, I was successful in continuing with Brant's attack chain without resetting. Hey, race a clip of applying this tech in a rotation. It can make some fantastic screenshot moments.
Climax of the show!
This makes the demands for Brant even lower in a quick-swap team, requiring only 1 swap back to finish his rotation. He lands at the end so it's easier to proceed with your rotation without needing to worry about plunging. A grounded full forte bar skill, Return from Ashes, is also much easier to animation cancel than a mid-air version. And since the last bulk of his concerto comes from his anchor landing, you can see in the clip he has full forte bar after I swapped out, to use his outro at a later part if you choose to, kind of like how you can save Sanhua's outro for later due to the delay ice pillar detonations. And that, friends, conclude this short tutorial on my preliminary findings on Brant. Hope this tips video doesn't age like milk once Brant releases. Brant will definitely be a very strong character and a lot of fun to play. He is not nearly as hard as some people make him out to be. Don't give in to the slander spread by some people, embrace the husbandos. Peace out.